G'day, Tragic here, and welcome to turn 7, I think, of Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. We're in Tabletop Simulator, and we have, this is the error. Yesterday was the error one. I had a bit of a break as I went down the coast for a while to see my family for Christmas, and I came back, I've forgotten everything about how to use the app, and I completely forgot how to play, and now we have tons of errors. For starters, there's an error that has been plaguing us since the beginning of the game. So we're going to fix it, but we're not going to try and correct all the problems that this caused. Basically, all these boards are supposed to be like this. So, yeah, I don't know how much of the game this is going to change. So we're just going to continue on as is. There was also another error. See, it's not actually an error now that we've it is an error. He was here and we went 1, 2 into there, but there's actually a line here, so he couldn't have moved there. So he was 1, 2, he would have been here. That's as far as he can go, which means that he has to do the horror check. So we are gonna correct that. So we're gonna get him to do the horror check. So if I just come into my log for turn 6 and we have a look at the horror check, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 horror checks because we've got 5 investigators. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spawn a dice, just grab one of the default D4s and scale it up a little bit. Yoink. We're just going to roll that. That is a 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So we're doing this one. Skittering in a circle, the thing produces a dull leaden jar, then shoves a human brain into it with jerky sudden movements. Suffer 2 horror. Will negates. Okay, so that's all very well and good. Let's just turn on this. I forgot. Oh my god, this is a terrible terrible start. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's soldier through. Okay, so his will is 4, which means he needs 4 dice. Thank you. And booyah, and he gets 2 successes, which means he negates the 2 horror. So he survives that horror. Also, if we stay in that message log and we actually look at the very first horror check, even if you pass, you still suffer 1 face down horror. So Kate over here still gets 1 extra horror face down, even though she passed that check. Now these things here are just counters, so basically she has 3 now, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll just check all these numbers. 3 and 3 is 6. 1 and 7 is 8. He doesn't have any. 5, she should be 5. 5, 6, 7. And she doesn't have any. Okay, so they're all correct now. That was another one of the errors. Also, it keeps going. Oh, I'm not even done yet. She gains a clue every time she does a horror check. So let's give her a clue. Also, quite a few people were asking about the big yellow line here. And no, that is not impassable. The dotted line is impassable. This is the same line as this line, these lines here going into the bridge. Now what they are is that they perform adjacency when it's not thematically any reason for adjacency. It's a kind of a weird concept. Basically this tile area here, this big white line, is ginormous. So they've put this wavy yellow line just to split it into 2 adjacency areas for ranged and other such factors. But theoretically it's 1 space in a way, but you count it 2. So that's definitely 1 2 to move across, but I can't really understand why it's not just a normal white line. If we look at the rules, borders are the edges represented by solid white or yellow lines. Each border separates 2 or more spaces. 2 spaces that share a border are adjacent. Yellow borders separate adjacent rooms. So basically, the white area is a single room. Maybe there's different types of triggers that'll trigger off rooms. I haven't seen any. And the white makes adjacency in those large rooms. So that's the same thing going on here. And the only reason I can think of them doing this is that there's some kind of trigger that triggers off rooms, the concept of rooms. So technically, these 2 people now are in the same room, but they're in separate adjacency spaces for counting adjacency, counting range, and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit murky, but I think that's correct. Okay, so I think we're all back on track now. So let's get on with this. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to give Harvey, he's getting the first turn, and he's going to do his first thing is just going to give a clue to Agatha. Now, I don't think there's any point in Agatha trying to do this again. Remember last time it was like an agility test of some sort, and her agility is only 3, and I think she's just gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's also going to go 1, 2. So that's both Harvey and Agatha's turns. Now, we definitely did that thing, I'm pretty sure. Resume scenario. Yeah, so we've already done that one. We did that last turn. I just didn't delete it off the thing. So now she can actually go through here and down rather than down and up and down, which is a lot better. So she's going to go... Actually, let's do the My Gal next. So we're going to have Kate is going to use her special ability with the Flux Stabilizer to move this 1 step backwards into the fire. Then she's going to shoot at her using the carbine rifle, which is a firearm. Got 5 damage. You cannot attack a monster in your space with this card. So this is actually a really good card for her to have, because pretty much every single time she can never be in the same space as a monster because of the flux capacitor, which is pretty awesome. So let's load it up and let's shoot the Magao. Attack with a firearm. In 1 swift motion, you raise your weapon and fire. Unwilling to waste a moment, you let instinct guide your aim. Do an agility 2 test. Okay, so her agility is 3. We need 2, which is kind of a bit of a hassle. Let's get some room here. Bam! Ooh. Okay, so that's not a success, but we can't... Oh, we can't even pump it. So that's the end of that. So she's going to then attack a second time. Let's just see if there's any... If you fail, your impulse to fire takes over long before the weapon is properly trained and your shots strike the ground. Yeah, let's attack him again. The creature's erratic movements are difficult to track. Agility 2. Come on. That's even worse. Okay, so that was a complete waste. If you fail, your shots fly wide. Bam. Okay, so that was no good. Vincent's agility is only 2 dice, so he sucks at this. I guess he's gonna go 1, 2, and activate this thing while he's going across. can't believe both of those missed. You can smell the damp earth of the forest, exposed by the toppled grave markers. Something glints in the starlight near the worst of the damage. Search a rune skis. Next to an overturned headstone, a tool has been half buried by soil and covered in grey slime. Gain the pickaxe common item, then discard this search token. Excellent. Ooh, that's got a nice juicy 3 damage. Okay, and that's the end of his turn. So that's everyone, isn't it? I think everybody's had their turn. Except Gloria. Okay, so she's going to go 1, 2, then access this one here. The wide-eyed whippoorwills grow silent as you approach the violin glow beneath the ancient oak tree. The birds burst into flight as you approach, whirling around you in confusion of beaks and feathers. You struggle to press on through their assault. Roll 2 extra dice if you have suffered no damage. Do an agility test. Okay, so her agility is actually pretty high, I think. Maybe she should have the gun. No, her agility is 3, but she's got no damage, so she gets 5 dice. Okay. Oh, look at that for a roll. Absolutely shocking. She's got so many clues. I guess she could pump it once. I'm just not going to bother. Bam. The maniac birds drive you back and you end up farther from the tree than you started. Move 1 space away from the old oak. Oh, that's actually good. Damn. Okay, so that is the end of that. Let's go to the mythos phase. The fire spreads out of control. Okay, so grab another fire. A patch of deadly cold air blows around Gloria Goldberg, stealing her breath and cracking her joints. She suffers 2 damage, strength negates. Okay. So her strength is 2. So she suffers 2 damage. She's got the revolver. Oh, she's got the revolver. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh well, 2 though. She should have shot at the Mygal. Whatever. So she's got, what is it? 2 strength. Where's the dice? Oh, 1 success. How annoying. So she then flips 2 horror face up and suffers 1 damage. Bam. 1 damage. And that's face up damage. Twisted ankle, resolve immediately, become restrained, then discard this card. Excellent. Restrained, I haven't seen that one before. You cannot move voluntarily. Okay. And then we have to flip 2 face up damage, and she's only got 2, so yeah, bam. Hallucinations. Everywhere you look, you see horrible shadows or ghosts from your past. You cannot bear to look any longer. Roll 1 fewer dice while resolving observation tests. Wow. Minor shock, no additional flip. Flip it back. Okay. It's pretty bad. A crash rocks the ground beneath your feet, and you hear mournful moaning floating through the night air. Old Wheatley's experiment is nearing completion. Taking too long. The MyGo moves up to 2 spaces to be within range of as many investigators as possible. Okay. So this is that movement we talked about last turn. So 1, 2, 3. So he activates in this zone, moves into that zone, and then moves into that zone with his 2 movement. Then he's in range to Gloria, in range to Vincent, in range for Agatha, and in range for Walters. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's definitely the closest. But he gets 2 damage, 1 for activating on the fire and then moving through a fire. The monster attacks the investigator with the highest agility. So the highest agility is 3, 2, there's a 4 here somewhere. 2, oh god, these nerds, they're all nerds. They're all 3. So we can just choose. Okay, so who's got the least damage? I think we're going to give it to Harvey. Oh, he's got 2. He can't. So he's got 2. So it's either Agatha. So it's either Kate. Yeah, I think we're going to give it to Goldberg. She's in range, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so attacking Goldberg. The alien thing rears up on its hindmost limbs and hoists up a large, irregular-shaped device, like a stone covered with silver wires. Fast as a whip, the device sends out a sharpened tendrils, retracting them just as quickly. Suffer 3 damage, negated by agility. So her agility is 3. She has a horror test for hallucinations. It doesn't affect this, so she needs 3 dice. Okay. Kiamon. It's 1. She's going to spend 1 of her clues to change this. Oh, what do I do with the dice? She's going to spend 1 of her clues to change this to a success, and that's gonna negate 2 of the damage, so she suffers 1 extra damage. Let's shuffle that. Give it 1 more shuffle. Stinging pain. You pull your hand back from the pain, shaking and clenching your teeth. Oh, the little box stabbed us. You drop whatever you're holding. Drop 2 random items and flip this card face down. Okay, so not too bad. She does have quite a number of items though. Okay. How are you supposed to shuffle randomly when you can see it? I could have just kept pressing until I was certain that I got the right ones. Okay, whatever. So both of them are dropped. And one of them is a gun. Okay, so if you suffered 2 or more damage, we are not dazed. Okay, continue. Each now we have to all resolve the horror checks. Croaking, clattering, horrible sounds come forth from what might be the thing's mandibles. You are afraid it might be speaking. Suffer 3 face down horror. Mind negates. Okay, so the only person not in range is Agatha, which is Kate, which is good that we did the test on the attack on Gloria because she's not in range. Okay, so starting with Vince. Vince's will is 4. Let's go back to this method because it's easier for me to organize the screen. Booyah! Complete failure. Now what happens here? 3 face down horror. That would send him insane. Okay, so we're going to let that happen because we're almost at the end of the game. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do it without him getting killed. And that basically clears all his horror. Gives us a little more time. I do need to check out what is on the other side. They are laughing at your misfortune, you can tell, but they will not laugh for very much longer. You do not win the game as normal. Instead, you win only if the investigation is complete and one or more other investigators are wounded or insane. Otherwise, you lose the game. Well, that's fine, because this chick over here is both wounded and insane. So that condition is fulfilled. Okay, next. The creature shrieks with an intensity that makes your ears ring. Flip 1 horror face up and become dazed. Okay, so that is Harvey. He has no horror. Excellent. And become dazed. Dazed means he can't use clues, I believe, which is not a problem since he has none. Okie dokie. Chittering in an impossible key, the thing peels the skin from a small rodent with its crab-like claws. Suffer 2 horror. Will +1 negates. Excellent. Okay, who's next? Goldbird is next. Her will is 4. She gets 5 dice. Okay. Come on. Can we have an actual decent roll this turn? Finally! Oh! So how many was it? Suffered 2 horror, and she has negated all the horror with those 2 there. Excellent. And finally, we have 1 more horror check. The alien fungus buzzes and flutters in a way that seems disturbingly familiar. For an instant, you remember lying on a cold steel slab, the creature above you, its claws gripping instruments red with your blood. Then the feeling passes, suffer 3 horror, +1 negates. Okay, her will is 4, so she also gets 5. Oops, I've picked up something else. What's this? Oh yeah, this completely useless item I didn't drop. Bam! Okay, so she is going to use one of her things and make it 3 successes, and that's the only passing roll we've had all turn. Wow, that was horrifically bad in every aspect. Okay, well, hopefully that's a little... There we are. That's what the map should look like. We need to kill this Mygal next turn with any luck. And then it is time to move on. We've got to get into that... down to that... This, you know... Whatever you call it. Altar. ASAP. We're running out of time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you guys